my lesson subject is literary elements. Grade is first grade. The teacher will model how to identify story elements, including speaker or narrator, setting, characters, plot, problems, and solutions. For review, the teacher will show the students a YouTube video to review what student elements are. Okay, when that was done, I'd ask 3 questions. The first question, what is the setting in a story? Give me an example of a setting. What does the narrator do in a story? For my overview, the purpose and importance is for the students to be able to identify the elements of a story so they are able to understand and comprehend the meaning of the story. For continuity, the past. Yesterday we learned what the different elements of a story are. Today we will identify the different parts of the story. Tomorrow we will write our own stories. Objective. Students will identify story elements including speaker or narrator, setting, characters, plot, problems, and solutions. For my motivation, I will read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Numeroff, illustrated by Felicia Bond. And for this activity, I would see if I could bring in milk and cookies to give to the students at the end of the class, and I would wear the little mouse ears to bring the story alive. If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Numeroff, illustrated by Felicia Bond. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then, he'll want to look in a mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim, so he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. He may even end up washing the floors as well. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. You'll have to fix up a little box for him with a blanket and pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So, You'll read to him from one of your books, and he'll ask to see the pictures. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited, he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture. When the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name with a pen. Then he'll want to hang the picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need Scotch tape. He'll hang up his drawing and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's thirsty. So, he'll ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want a cookie to go with it. The end. Okay. So for my first activity, it is the story element sorting game, and we're going to be sorting fairy tales. The students will be able to identify story elements with at least 85% accuracy. For this game, each student will get a story element sorting mat that looks like this. The three that we're working on in this activity are characters, problem, and solution. And we're going to find the characters, problem, and solution in the story Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red Riding Hood, and the Three Little Pigs. Each student will also get a stack of sorting cards. There are several cards in here, and they just have different scenarios or characters that we are going to discuss as a whole class, and we're going to put on our sorting map. For the sorting mat, I would have a larger one blown up to put on my whiteboard so that when we're doing it, I can be putting it on my board while they're putting it on their board. So for the first one, I just pull one from the stack, and I'd say, a local lumberjack saved Little Red and her grandma. So together as a class, we're going to discuss this. We're going to talk about what's going on the card and where they think it should go. Should it go under character, problem, or solution? For this one, a local lumberjack saved Little Red and her grandma. He's saving them from the problem. So this is going to be the solution. And we would just put it on our board. I do another example. Cinderella, fairy godmother, stepsisters, stepmother, and the prince. All of those sound like characters. So we'll put that under Cinderella, under characters. And then we would go through that until they were done. And I would let the kids each take turns reading the next card and taking a guess at where they want to go and telling us all why they think it should be put there on the map. For our next activity, the teacher will model the narrative text structure activity. For this activity, the students will be able to identify and organize story elements with at least 90% accuracy. In this activity, we will have a question cube, and then each student will also receive a worksheet with the same questions that are on the question cube and space for them to fill in. They'll put their name and the title of the story, and then we'll answer the questions. For this activity, we're going to answer the questions on the question cube based off of our motivational book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. So I'll do the first one. I'll roll the cube, and the question is, when does the story take place? What time? So we'll answer that question based off of our book, and the students are going to fill it in on their worksheet. The first one we'll do as a whole. We'll talk about it. We'll say why we came to that conclusion and all in that. But after that, I'm gonna let random students roll the cube, ask the question, and then they are to answer the question on their sheet by themselves. And then at the end, they'll turn in this sheet to me for their assessment. For my closure, the teacher will make up a story about her and her students and ask them 3 questions. So I thought for my closure, I could just come up with a question about something that me and my students, a problem and a solution that we've had in our classroom, and present that to them and then ask them these 3 questions. This classroom is an example of a blank, a setting. In my story, who are the characters? The students and the teachers would be the characters. How should we solve the problem in the story? How do we know? Or what is this called? So after we did that, just to give an overall review, we'll go for my students for homework. The students will pick a book from the room library to take home and read. Students will also receive a story map worksheet that they are to fill out using the book they picked. So the story map that they would take home looks like this, and it has who, where, what is the conflict, why, the solution to the conflict, and when the story took place. For my early finishers, students will read the book Olivia and Her Ducklings by Vera, it's Herondani, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. And with this, they would get a story cube. I would have several of these made up, and then the same worksheet that they had when we did it on If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, they'll play the game, the cube game, by themselves, or if there's a couple of them, I'd group them together. And they would answer the questions based off of what they read in this book. For special needs, students with special needs will work one-on-one with a paraprofessional or the teacher until they better understand the elements of a story. They will reread the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and use a story map to organize the elements. So I would have them reread that book with myself or a paraprofessional, and then we would help them fill out this map. It just says title and author, characters, setting, problem, solution. That way we can talk them through and we can work more one-on-one with them. For my English language learners, we'll work one-on-one with an aide or the teacher to make sure they understand the story we read and understand the meanings of the setting, plot, characters, and problems and solutions in the story. And we would do this with the If You Give a Mouse a Cookie book as well. It would be a written and oral assessment, and it would more than likely be individual or small group, depending on how many English language learners I had in the classroom. And for remediation, these students work one-on-one with the teacher or paraprofessional doing the sorting the story elements fairy tale game. So they would do the map and the sorting games with a teacher one-on-one. They'd replay that again. For enrichment, the students will log on to Professor Garfield, read and listen to the story, Garfield in the Park, and answer the questions presented at the beginning of the story and turn them in. So for this one, they go on here and select their story, Garfield in the Park.
Garfield in the Park. Before you begin reading, read the title of the story. What do you think the story will be about? What do you think will happen in the story? Have you ever been to a park? What did you do there?
I like the Professor Garfield, the read-along, because it gets the students who may be a little bit more advanced to start thinking about predictive text and foreshadowing, and then helps them relate it to, have you ever been to a park? What did you do there? I like how it helps them make those worldly connections. So they would just click continue after that. I would have them write the questions down on a piece of paper, and then they just move the pages here, and then they would have headphones, but if they pushed on the mouth,
It was a beautiful day.
it reads to
I
them.
want to go to the park, said John. Odie wanted to go too. Garfield wanted to sleep. You are so lazy, Garfield, said John.
And then once that, they would move to the next page, and then when they were finished, they would turn in their sheet with their answered questions on it, and I would assess them that way. And for reflective comments, there are none.